Welcome once again to our podcast. Wow,
Running your best life.
that's right. I was testing you. Running your best life. I'm your host, Victor Vizcaino, and my guest and host is Adele, co-host. Anyway, today what we're covering is open water swimming.
Not something I do at all, except for recreation. Victor is a much better person to learn how to do this in a race situation. So we're going to let him take our lead today. But I do have some questions. So I'm going to let him get us started and we'll follow along. So any of y'all getting ready to do an open water swim for training or for race preparation, dial in. This is going to be great.
Yes, and let me start first by saying the reason why I'm wanting to cover open water swimming is because I'm getting ready to do a clinic in May because some of my clients are doing the Ironman 70.3 this coming June 21st,
Mm.
including Crystal, and we're getting ready for her to do it. And we need to get in open water before that. Now, many people go to other places to where there's warm water to get in because right now it's too cold. But in May, it's going to be a little bit better.
Hmm.
The important reason why you need to get into the water is because many people go into a shock when they first hit cold water if they haven't um, been exposed to cold water,
Okay.
and they get that effect where they get and then you don't catch your breath and you start swimming, and that just perpetuates that panic because you're trying to swim at the same time you're just trying to catch your breath from the coldness of the water,
Right.
and it's very difficult even when they stop and try to relax if they haven't been acclimated to it, or if they just have uh, prone to that kind of effect. It's really difficult to relax. It happened to me. It happened to
Yeah.
Crystal.
Yeah.
It happens to a lot of people.
So I had an experience last spring, um, outdoor swimming, but in a pool. And I had a very good friend of mine who's done an Ironman, but a few years ago. But he does a lot of triathlons, sprint and Olympic distances. He's a little older now, so he doesn't do the longer distance. However, we got in the water. I was in for about 10 minutes. The water temperature in the pool was 75, very much too cold for me, and we were doing lap swimming. I never warmed up, but my heart was racing. I swam about 20 minutes and I couldn't go anymore. I was really getting a little bit anxious and afraid. My heart was pumping rapidly. So
Okay.
I is that a consequence of too cold of water if you're not used to it?
Yes, and I think it's a combination, but the number one
Okay.
is the cold water. It really shocks the system because we're not
Okay.
used to cold water. And then the second is the environment. If you're only
Mm.
used to swimming in the pool, then anything that's so different, because it's very different, it feels different. The water is moving around, you're having waves, and just being in a different environment, our
Okay.
brain kind of tends to betray us. Our amygdala kicks in and just we go into survival mode where
Well,
that.
and the other swimmers are swimming all around you. It's not like you have any barriers, correct?
Correct. And
Okay.
then it's another, yeah, that's another variable that's people don't are not used to it. And what I do, or what we've done in the past in these clinics, I wasn't leading those clinics that I attended to, but we would do practices with our triathlon team
Okay.
so that we could become acclimated to the environment, to being in
Okay.
open water, to be surrounded with other swimmers. And that helped a lot. When I first went to my first swim, I had not gone on open water, and I had not done especially cold water. It
Okay.
was in Walla Walla, and that race is the Onion. It's called the Onion Man. It was an Olympic distance,
Hmm.
and it was my very first. And I forget if it was 2010, the year that I did it, and I was the last one out of the water because I could
Okay.
not get myself to relax. I had to keep every time I put my face down in the water, it was just I would run out of breath, and I would run out of
Yeah.
breath, and I
Yeah.
couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't figure out why because I've been swimming a lot in the pool. Why all of
Mhm.
a sudden was I having that effect? And when I came home, I did some research and found out that that's very, very common, easy to overcome just by acclimating to cold water.
Good.
That's what I started to do. The same thing with my client Crystal. She was in the same race years later, Walla Walla Onion Man, and because it's in May, it's definitely
Mhm.
very cold. She started to panic, and she got out of the water. She just said, "You know what? Nope, I can't do it." And she did the bike and the run,
In the run.
but not the swim. So this is very common. And
Okay.
and here's the thing for those. The first thing is try to get to open water
Okay.
before your race, and try to do it with a group because then you can get that surrounding yourself with other swimmers, so you get that same feeling. The
Good.
second thing is that if you, even if you do that, the day before the race, you still want to be acclimated within those days. So if you can get in the water the day before in the same lake that you're going to be swimming, that's really, really beneficial.
Okay.
I I couldn't get when I did it was one in Apple Valley,
Mhm.
and I couldn't get to the water the day before, and they wouldn't let you that morning. They wouldn't let you
Okay.
athletes in the water. So, but what I did is at the hotel the night before is I just opened the cold water in that bathtub,
Mm.
cold water, and that early in Seattle the water is pretty cold from the
Okay.
faucet, and so I just acclimated there. I just went into my relaxation, did put my face in the water, breathing, blowing
Mhm.
bubbles, trying to relax. And yeah, it's uncomfortable. Your body gets
Okay.
super cold, but you're not going to die. But
Okay.
you get
You
that
hope
message,
not.
your body
You
gets
hope
that
not.
message that, okay, I can relax. This is what it's going to feel like.
Okay.
So when I did get into the water that morning into the race, my body wasn't in shock.
Yeah. So the biggest thing really, for myself, obviously I swim in a pool and I have the lane ropes. I'm not swimming in the colder water right now. Here down south, the weather temperature has been running cold. It's been rainy. So even the outdoor pool temperature tends to be a little bit lower. Even though they're heated, I'm ready to get in those now that the temperature is better. But the biggest thing I'm picking up, Victor, is, as we've said this before, practice, do the reps, become acquainted with your environment for race day. And the two biggest things that you mentioned is open water, regardless of where it might be, but try to get close to the temperature and the environment that you might be racing in, if not the actual body of water that the race is going to take place in. But also be aware of the swimmers around you. Most of us are not swimming with people on top of us or next to us on a regular basis. How does that affect the practice that you might schedule? And I know your clinic, would you be incorporating some of that kind of information
Yes.
for your
So
for your participants?
absolutely. So
Okay.
in that clinic that we're going to be having, we're definitely safety is going to be our number one concern.
Okay.
Making sure that everybody's carrying a little buoy. The buoy tells the boats or any, yeah, mainly the boats that there's a swimmer there. Make sure you don't get run over.
Right.
The
Right.
next thing is making sure you have your wetsuit,
Wetsuits,
and
yes,
then
definitely.
sighting. Sighting is the big thing. You're gonna get
Okay.
used to having the swimmers because there'll be a bunch of us. First, we just relax. If somebody has not been or it's new to open water, we take more time to let them relax
Okay.
before we take off. Everybody's swimming. Give us a good time to relax in the water because that's the number one thing is if you can remain relaxed, you can start swimming much much faster in a
Right.
relaxed position than if you're nervous and your heart's already
Right.
high. You're gonna tread water. You're not gonna be efficient. So that's a couple of the things. But yeah, the other one is sighting, because you don't need to sight as much in the pool because you got the black lane
Right. You got the flags as well directing you. Yeah. Yeah.
and the bumpers. You got a lot of things that you don't usually focus on where you're going, but yet in open water, you can easily start going the wrong way. It
Mm,
happens so much, mm, that it takes a lot longer to finish, because then the guy on the kayak is having to direct you.
yeah.
And that's the other safety thing that we provide in these clinics, is making sure we have a kayak there for safety.
And the kayak usually provides has medical equipment
Yes.
to help if there's any medical situation, right? Till they can
Well,
get back to shore.
CPR, it's got to be certified in
Okay.
CPR, because that's the main thing. And
Okay.
but hopefully it never comes to that point,
Right.
but they're ready for that. The main thing is to provide, if someone's just can needs a break from swimming, they can hold on to the kayak.
Right. Okay. Let me ask you about a couple of things about the cold water, and this is something you and I briefly touched on right before we started. So, y'all, a lot of people use the cold plunge with their fitness protocols, right? It allows for some relaxation and alertness when you do it early in the morning. And my son does it every morning. Victor said he used to do it every morning. He's doing it occasionally now, right? You're doing it
Yes.
infrequently a little bit now. Medical, some healing. You really don't want to look at a cold plunge as training for an open water race. And the reason I'm going to say that, just in logistics alone, is your body is at rest, usually sitting in a cold water plunge pool. You're looking at the time, you're just trying to mentally go through the minutes that you're going to be there. In open water swimming, y'all, one of the biggest things, it's not going to be just the temperature of the water. You have to understand how to do that, right? The safety issues that we just addressed, but also um, the shock value, the anxiety levels, and these other things that you don't want to deal with when you're in a race situation. You want all that behind you that you've practiced on. And these are the things that Victor is encouraging everyone to practice that he'll address in his clinic. So, two big things remember, you can get acclimated to temperature, but you also have to get acclimated to the environment. And so, my question and why I'm leading up to this is, what are some of the techniques to use with open water swimmers above, underneath, all around you? What suggestions do you have that you may address in the clinic with your participants?
I think just putting yourself in the same situation as you do in the race is the
Okay.
number one thing.
Okay.
Is being around. So if you do get to go, whether either it's in a triathlon team or you attend one of our clinics, then we will provide that the atmosphere of being surrounded by other swimmers, having kind of the same atmosphere as in the race. And we might even throw in some drills that help you, like
Okay.
practice taking off your goggles in case your goggles get knocked off.
Ah.
And you can catch your breath, maybe pick up those goggles if you can. And if not, be able to swim. I've heard some people be able to swim without goggles,
Oh, wow. Okay.
still
Okay.
finish the race. And for some, I think that if someone was to panic, that would probably be the end. Oh, my goggles knocked out. I'm out of the race. But you can still swim even if your goggles get knocked out.
Right.
Uh, but to get used to adverse, yeah,
Adversity. Okay. Okay.
because things happen. Some people
Right.
get kicked in the face, or another swimmer slaps you when he's coming really close to you. It doesn't happen as often anymore because they don't do the mass starts like they used to. Now
Right.
they have scatter starts,
Okay. Like
but
a
they
wave
still
start.
happen.
Is that
Yeah,
what they call it? A wave start?
wave
Okay.
start, but they're very gradual, because sometimes, like in Coeur d'Alene, and all the Ironmans have been like three people at a time, maybe five.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Very scattered. Mm.
So
But it
with
still happens. People run into each other.
right, and my brother used to do a lot of the a lot of triathlons. I think I don't know if he ever did a half. He may have, but then he got to a point where the swimming and the running was a little tough for him. So he was always a cyclist on the relay team because he was phenomenal at cycling. But I remember he would say in the wave starts, and he was never a faster swimmer. He's always closer to the back end of the wave starts, which are most of the time your slower swimmers, which was fine for him because he wasn't a strong swimmer. He dog paddled a lot or backstroke. So in a race situation, is there a requirement for a particular stroke? Or is it basically a freestyle if you know you have to dog paddle to get your energy back? Is that legal? I mean, can you be disqualified if you backstroke?
No.
What's the protocol for open water swimming in the strokes that are allowed?
Yeah, and open water swim, I think that uh, you can swim any style you want.
Okay.
I've seen people
Okay.
do, yeah, doggy paddle their whole way. It takes them forever, but I can do. People do backstrokes to help them relax
Right. Okay.
if they're having a little panic attack. So that's one of the recommendation. A lot of the coaches and
Okay.
even the announcers at the race will tell you that if you start to panic, turn on your back, float, do a couple of backstrokes, get your breath. Because especially if you're wearing a wetsuit,
Right.
if it's
Okay.
cold water, you're going to be wearing a wetsuit. Mm, it helps with the flotation. You become more buoyant, and
Okay.
so turning into your back on your back will help you stay buoyant or stay afloat while you catch your breath, and then you
S-
can continue.
Do you
Those are little things that can help.
Okay, so do you find that most, and I know your area of the country is usually very cool, most triathlons are wetsuit legal through the
In this
year, or
area, yes,
okay,
I haven't done a triathlon where it has been illegal to wear a wetsuit. It's going to
okay,
happen probably in tropical areas or very warm water. I
okay,
think it has to be like 70. I forgot the exact temperature, but it's pretty warm
yeah.
before the race.
I thought it was like 75, 76. I know down south, the different triathlons that my brother used to do, 76 water temperature, not 76 air temperature,
Yeah,
but
right.
76 water temperature, which is always a little bit colder, was wetsuit allowable. And he always used a wetsuit and he did travel around the country, but even down here, down south in the spring or summer, if he did something, it was usually wetsuit legal because of the water temperature.
Yeah,
So,
and here's another trick for cold water. When you first go into the cold water, mm, it's carrying warm water and throwing it into your
oh,
wetsuit before the race. That way, because your body will keep that water warm, and then when you do get into the water, you don't go into shock because you're still gonna get the cold water in there, but it's gonna take
right.
longer. So
Okay.
hopefully by the time it hits your body, you're already warmed up. The only thing is logistics in a race. Sometimes it's a big race. There's a lot of swimmers. It's kind of difficult to be carrying around warm water, but I've seen people do it. If you can get, I
Mhm.
think if you can get acclimated to cold water, that's your best
Right, right.
approach. But initially, when you go to these either clinics or you're just going to go practice, that is a good way to get into the water. Is get
Okay,
some warm water to get slowly into the
okay,
cold water. That is a really good way. The other safety tip that is very important is do not go into the lake by yourself.
oh, definitely
Never
not.
swim by yourself.
Do not swim alone, right. Do not swim alone. Always have a buddy.
Right. A lot of things can happen. You never know. You could cramp, you could faint, and if you disappear, there's nobody there.
Well, yeah, and you're going under. It's not like
Uh,
crashing on a bike. If you're by yourself, you're on the side of the road, somebody will see you. Or if you're on a run, you want to be real careful. It's always best to try to train with a buddy. I know you and I have trained, done a lot of our training at different times on the street alone. Um, the key, y'all, is if you're going to the pool, going to swim anywhere, if you're going to a pool, make sure there are people around that pool. If you're going to open water, you need at least one person with you. And even if they're sighting you from the shore or riding along next to you in the kayak for safety, you need someone there. It's a non negotiable part of training because if you don't make it through that swim, you don't make it to the race.
That's
It's
right.
that simple. It's that simple. And that's not because of an injury. It's basically a little bit being a little bit ignorant on your safety. So do not be ignorant if you want to get to your race. Do the best you can in your training sessions, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had to get on my soapbox. I just want people to be successful. And this is why we're talking about open water swimming today, y'all. I am not one that will be doing this, although I'm not saying I'll never do it. I'm just not doing it right now. I have a pool. I have pools available to me. I found another one yesterday. Yay, a little bit closer to home. Not heated, so it is a little too cold. It's still about 76 degrees. It'll be warming up in a couple of weeks, but it's just a couple of miles away from me, so I'll have some access to it. So I'm excited about that. The other thing that I want to say about open water swimming, and this is based on just conversations, and I'm going to address it with Victor. People have told me, and I know we talked about this a little bit, that they cannot get their wits around them with people around them. That people have been swimming on top of them and they feel like they're going underwater. And if it's murky water and the water's not clear, and they just, it's almost a mental mindset to try to limit distractions as much as possible. Just like if you when you're on your bike or or on the street running, when you're focused on something, what would be maybe a technique, Victor, that you might address in your clinic to help people that become anxious because they're getting knocked around? I know with wave starts, they're not going to be knocked around as much, but those that do, what's a technique that they could use besides maybe turning over and floating a minute, get their breathing, get relaxed, get back to where they can do their strokes, maybe count their cadence a little bit? I thought about that. I've been counting my cadence on my strokes in the pool like I did today. Any other little techniques that you may address in the clinic that we could share with our listeners?
Probably the number one is to slow down. If you notice that
Okay.
you got a little bothered when you got hit or smacked, and what usually happens when you're not used to being in a race and something like that happens, our breathing becomes altered
Okay.
because you do have your face in the water, and so
Yeah.
it's not like you just have access to oxygen. You have to put your face up, and if that gets disrupted, sometimes we get a little disjolted and our breathing pattern becomes
Okay.
interrupted. So the thing to do is to slow down.
Okay.
Slow
Okay.
down if you're having a hard time because of what happened, because you got hit or something
Hmm.
happened. If your breathing became altered, slow down, catch your breath, and then start to get your normal stroke
Okay.
rate going.
Okay.
And it's hard to when the mind starts to panic a little bit and your heart rate goes up, and they both kind of interact. Your breathing is altered,
Hmm.
your panic is increased,
Right.
and you also subconsciously your stroke rate goes up because your heart rate is going up. You tend to do your stroke, and it kind of feeds on each other. And the faster you start to go with your strokes, the more your breathing gets altered and the more your heart rate goes up. So
Right.
it's one of those things you have to do consciously is slow down, slow that rate of your stroke, and slowly get your breath back.
So I'm going to make a suggestion based on your rhythm running method of counting cadence. That can help eliminate the mental distractions, which we've addressed in running and cycling, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to be very honest with y'all. I use that rhythm counting in the pool, especially when I'm doing either endurance splits or speed splits like I do today, like the 50 freeze or whatever else. But the key is that, as we mentioned when we addressed the conversation about rhythm running and running, when we talked about the book that Victor wrote, that cadence counting, it puts your mindset in a particular place. So what happens is your body, your heart, your mind, your soul starts to get the rhythm, and the distractions are non-existent in a lot of ways, they don't bother you. So use your cadence counting. Like as we say, yes, you're in open water. You don't have a flag saying you're almost at the end of the pool. You don't have the ropes and boundaries. But if you get that cadence counting, it starts to relax your breathing. It starts to relax the heart rate. It starts to keep your mind on a specific thing. And once you
Yeah,
get that consistency back and you're relaxed, what Victor's saying to y'all is use your techniques to keep things even keel. And
yeah.
then you'll get to the end of that swim, regardless of the distance, to maintain that mindset, count your cadence. At least get to the point where you know you have some consistency with your strokes and you're no longer anxious.
I absolutely love that you said that, Adele, because I use that a lot of
Hmm.
counting my strokes when I'm swimming, and it keeps me calm. It keeps the calm a lot
Hmm.
better. So if something like that happens, definitely counting, getting back to your count, getting back to your rhythm is going to relax you, but it also makes it easier sometimes. If you are having a little bit of a hard time with the swim, counting is going to make it a little bit easier breaking down those those sections. For
Right,
example,
right.
with one buoy to another, if you can count how many strokes, for example, when I was swimming, I figured that it was about 200 strokes from one
O-
buoy to the other.
Okay,
So then
okay.
in the mind, you can say, okay, I just have to get through to that one buoy. I just have to get to that one buoy, and you're at 100 count. Okay, just got 100 more, and you'll be at the second buoy.
Right. And then just take it slow, like Victor
Yeah,
said. I think these are some key points. I really, really like these key points because even if you are training in the pool, and you're doing circle swimming with some of your team members because the pool is the only water available. You're not doing an open water swim till maybe the weekend, and you're training during the week, and you're doing circle swimming. And I've watched the triathletes at the pools that I swim at early morning when they're getting ready. They'll go in and out. And then they'll do circle swimming. They'll put three or four in a lane, and they'll try to stay as close to each other as they can to start to learn how to swim with people right around you. And I mean, it's a technique, y'all. It's very much a technique. But use these opportunities as you prepare for an open water swim event to incorporate them in your training so that you're getting the reps in the pool or in the on the open water, and you're using some of these techniques to decrease any anxiety or any interference with you during your best swim when you get to race day.
yes. And for me, and for a lot of the swimmers, it's it's almost the opposite that from running
Hmm.
as far as your stroke length. You want to have a long stroke length. You want to cover a lot of
Stroke
distance
length.
per stroke. It's going to be
Okay.
the most efficient. Whereas in running, you're trying to shorten your stride for the
Okay.
most part.
Okay.
Mm,
Okay.
but
And
it
count.
is,
Does that mean counting your breaths or just striding a little bit longer with each
yeah,
stroke?
gliding with
Gliding
your
a little
each
longer.
stride.
Okay.
Mm, putting a little bit
Okay.
of glide, covering more ground with each stroke in a relaxed manner, the way you practiced in the pool. And you'll be surprised at how fast you are doing stroke rate
Okay.
and when
Okay.
you are nervous.
Okay.
I use the form goggles, and one of the
Right.
things it tells me is how many strokes per minute I'm doing.
Okay.
And
Okay.
when my heart rate is up at the beginning, I can tell that my stroke rate is really high. And that's
Yeah.
one way. If I'm having a hard time catching my breath, I look at that number as, of course, it's high because my stroke rate is high. So then you just consciously want to slow down that stroke rate.
Right.
But you can
Right.
always pick it up. But if you notice that you're starting to be out of breath, then slow down, slow the stroke rate, get it more efficient, and learn to relax with your breath and find the rhythm.
I think that's a great comment, especially right now because we can practice that in the pool.
Absolutely.
Right. You know how
Absolutely.
you always tend to kick off the side and you glide, you do that kind of stream glide, right? Before
Right.
you start your arm movement. Y'all practice that in the pool as well if that's what's available to you. That's a key point. I didn't even think about stroke length and gliding, but that also teaches you a little bit different breathing technique too. How much longer can I keep my head there before turning and moving my arm to take that next stroke? I think that's a great comment. I love that. I might try it. I might try it on the next swim just to see what I got there, Victor.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to mention to y'all that I am running my Crescent City Classic this weekend. I know we talked about it,
Yeah.
and yep, I'm excited about it. And it's a 10K. It's 45 years running this race. I will be walking briskly because of a little knee issue, as I've addressed the last couple of weeks. So I am going to take a few minutes next time we're together to recap the Crescent City Classic, which is it's the ultimate race for me, right? It's ultimate 10K. I know Victor and Crystal, is there a race this weekend for you two? Is there another
No,
training race y'all are doing?
it's a week from this weekend, a week
Okay.
from Sunday. So
On
it's
the
going to be on
11th.
April 11th. April 11th is a 70.3. I'll be coaching Crystal on that race. So I'll be
Okay.
doing the whole race along with her. And
Okay.
it's a test. It's a test for her 70.3. That's going to be June 1st here in
Right.
Corning, Idaho.
Right.
And
Right.
we'll see where she needs to improve. But as we're talking about open water, that's one of the things that we're going to do because
Okay.
we're not able to get to the open water here. It's too cold, but we're going to get there a few days, I think 2 days early. So we'll be able
Okay.
to practice swimming in open water. The last time we did a triathlon with her, we noticed that we need to do better in our sighting,
Right.
so
Right.
that's going to be a good thing to practice because it's we've practiced in the pool, but it's not the same. It's not the same because you always have that line and the lines that are well divided. Plus, you have the
Right.
back line. So even though you're putting your head up and you can see it, it's different in open water because open water there's little waves. There's sometimes you have to lift your head higher than
Right.
others. If
Right.
the
Right.
water is nice and clear and flat, then you don't have to lift your head. But a lot of times when it's choppy, you do have to lift your head a little bit higher to see the next buoy, see where you're
Right.
going.
Right,
Mm.
right. Well, and I think really to take that opportunity to do that next weekend on the 11th. I'm running on the 4th, y'all, which is this Easter Saturday, and then Easter is Sunday, the 5th. April's 11th is Crystal's birthday, so it's a celebration of where she is in her training, which is about 2 months prior to her race, a little under 2 months. And of course, Victor's been guiding her along. So y'all keep all of us in your hearts for the next week and a half. We'll touch base with y'all next week. Are y'all traveling to that race? It's not
Yeah,
local.
we're going to be driving from
Okay, so we're
Spokane
yeah.
to Napa
Napa
Valley,
Valley.
California.
Okay. We're going to try to catch up with everybody early next week. We'll recap a little bit about how I enjoyed Saturday, which I always will, always do, 45 years. We'll give Crystal and Victor a quick pep talk before they take off on their journey to not only celebrate her birthday, but to really enjoy the opportunity to do a great, great practice uh, triathlon. And Victor, I want you to remind everybody about your um,
The
open
clinic,
water
I'm planning
swimming.
it. Yes, the clinic, I'm planning it on May 16th of this year.
Okay.
And hopefully by the time I post this mm, podcast, I'll have the lead magnet so people can register for it. It's going
Perfect.
to be
Perfect.
May 16th at 9 a.m. Sanders Beach in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Oh, in Idaho. Okay, great. Great.
Yes.
Okay, because of the course. All right, y'all, I am going to sign out because Victor and I have both have these crazy schedules today. We really wanted to get with y'all and make sure that you know he's doing a clinic, but also to talk to people about open water swimming. Despite the fact that I don't do it, I am in the pool and in the water 3, 4, 5 times a week. The key is I learned a lot from our conversation today. What I can incorporate to be a little bit more efficient, to be a little bit more aware if I do have an open water opportunity, which I may this summer. I'm not going to go any further into that. That's a secret right now. So keep in touch. But the other part of it is all these different techniques that Victor has shared with us can be utilized in any fashion of swimming whatsoever. And definitely the safety issue, excuse me, always have a buddy in the water with you or someone that you are accountable to while you're training. All right. So always keep that as the number one thing with the other techniques that Victor has shared with us today.
Great.
Y'all, I'm so excited. Victor, I'm going to see you early next week, correct?
That's correct.
All
Yes.
right.
All right.
All right, my
Guys,
friend.
take care. Thank you for joining us. And till next time, stay triumphant.
Stay triumphant. Enjoy your Easter weekend and spend lots of time with your family. Don't eat too much candy if you're training. Save that for later.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all. Have a wonderful week.